Hey everybody, welcome to Ponytails Talking Pigskins. My name is Laurie Fitzpatrick, and today we are going to cover Trevor Lawrence. He made his debut against the Houston Texans last week. Week 1, he had 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a lot of mishaps. So, an interesting stat we found out from Sports Info Solutions that without pre-snap motion, Trevor Lawrence's rating was a 37. With pre-snap motion, it was 127. So there's a really big difference when Trevor Lawrence actually has a moment to look and see what the defensive coverage is in. So that really helps a rookie quarterback identify and eliminate which receivers he's going to be able to throw to. So when you're in zone, you're able to identify and attack one centralized zone on the defense. So you can have two wide receivers going after one guy and force him to make a choice. And then obviously you throw it to the other guy. So we're going to see a lot of that. And actually, one of those instances actually happens on the touchdown. And then we're going to take a look at the interceptions and see why they happen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this first drive. So on the second play of the game, the Jaguars draw up a screen. And the first thing they're going to do is take Laviska and run him out of the play. So that is actually going to free up this end right here. And he gets to sit back and wait for the screen to develop. Right, so as Trevor goes back and kind of fakes, Laviska puts his hands up, I'm open. Nobody really steps up to him. If he threw it here, that would have been more successful than what actually happened. So let's play this out. Ended up being nothing because the defense sniffed that out from the beginning with, looks like this nickel corner, they are smothering James Robinson. So it just wasn't really a good look to use that screen. And Texans play a lot of zone, so it's always ideal to kind of throw screen passes against man coverage. So the next play, we see a motion, and it looks like they are actually in man, which is great. Then you have a stacked receiver here, and what that does is that allows the receiver to get a little bit more extra space when he pops out for this bubble screen. So instead of going there, Trevor went to the one-on-one with DJ Chark, which ended up being a little underthrown. He didn't really see much pressure here. It was just a bad ball. If we take a look at the other angle on this, we'll see if he had the end, with a hand in the face. That would kind of, yeah, it looks like the guy almost got a hand on it, but it shouldn't really affect the play. So, next play. We have Laviska Shenault. Underneath route. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough to get the first down. But I do like the play call because the middle of the field is wide open. This play action. Oh, was this play action? No. So it wasn't a play action, but it was kind of a fake screen. So it actually holds those linebackers in place and allows Laviska to get underneath, and he's free because these two guys here are really paying a lot of attention to the offensive lineman running out into the field. I think that's a pretty decent play. Unfortunately, it's the end of a drive for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, next up, the pass to Marvin Jones. He motions inside. That switches that defense up to, let's kind of run that back. That switches the defense from man to zone. And now this number 41 and 23, who actually gets beat on one of the touchdowns, they're caught looking at this play action, which allows Marvin Jones to get right over top of that defense, right in that zone. They're running cover 2 that whole time. Those two guys are focusing on the backfield. Now Marvin Jones is wide open, and he knew it right from the jump. And Trevor just makes a great throw and drops it right in the perfect place. So far he has an underthrown ball, a blown up screen, a completed pass to LaVisca, which unfortunately ended the drive. And now he starts off this new drive with a dime to Marvin Jones. So far it's not bad, right? So let's keep going. You want to make sure that your run game is on point. And the Jaguars come out in 12 personnel, but they have an extra blocker on the line. So this wide receiver comes down to block. What a great run. Unfortunately, this was called back because of a holding. So it took a little bit for the offense to really get going, because Urban Meyer really praises a lot on establishing the run. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do that. Like, even though this was called back, it still influenced the defense to at least honor the run. So that is why the play action worked for the rest of the game. Unfortunately, this just did not help them in terms of actually moving the ball downfield. Next up, we have a short pass to Marvin Jones. And this motion actually forces the linebackers to hold. And Houston's been running cover 2 this whole game with the zone underneath. And so what that does is that opens up the middle of the field. And here you go, Marvin Jones wide open in that zone in between those guys. So this is that zone here. You have the linebackers that stay up. They're respecting this motion and this play action. It was perfectly drawn up play. You see how quickly this guy jumps up to the line of scrimmage to, just in case that ball is handed off. Wide open over the middle. Great pass. And let's look at it from the other angle. This is very smooth mesh point. It seems that Trevor is doing really well under center. That was very quick. Everything seemed really fluid. Perfect. Next up, we have James O'Shaughnessy. So it's trip spread, 11 personnel. Actually, looks like 12 personnel, because O'Shaughnessy is actually lined up in the slot here. So you're going to have this inside receiver pretty much ride that defense out, so they pay attention to him. And it's, rub routes are kind of run similar, where you run a guy straight up so that he kind of blocks the defender from going over. Even though he didn't really block him here, he does a great job to kind of take the attention away from O'Shaughnessy. And he drops it. So that was kind of devastating, to be honest. They run a great play. The play action opens up that defense about 6 yards between the defenders, which really gives this inside receiver a lot of room. And unfortunately, O'Shaughnessy isn't able to come away with it. I mean, I would say it's behind him, but not too much. That should have been a catch. Actually, let's kind of go back to that, because I don't want to put my own foot in my mouth, right? So, I was a little behind him. That's just rapport, right? It's knowing where the quarterback is going to throw the ball. But I'll say that one's on Trevor. Maybe he can make more of a solid cut there instead of rounding it off. Maybe he got to the point too fast, right? So he could be just throwing to a certain place instead of throwing it to the receiver. Next up, DJ Chark. Maybe he was throwing DJ open. So I posted this on Twitter. Some people agreed. Some people just blamed it on Trevor, blamed it on DJ. You know, they're just throwing around a lot of blame. But the reason why I say it, maybe he was throwing him open. Look at the amount of defenders that's surrounding DJ Chark. So maybe Trevor doesn't want DJ to get his head knocked off. And if he's able to catch this and turn this around and run up, that's an easy 6 points. So, just another incompletion to kind of stop this momentum from moving forward, which was a little frustrating, not gonna lie. Next drive. We have another motion from O'Shaughnessy. This forces this guy to actually move up. So there's going to be a shift within the safeties, and you see when analysts are kind of, we saw Peyton Manning, when you move your fist up and down like that, that's always most likely they're talking about safety shifting. So you're going to see that here. This guy in the back moves up. This guy on which now is the weak side moved back, and these two guys shift. So he's going to bring the extra help to this side since the motion takes place. He's going to bring this guy back, and what that does is actually opens up the left side of the field. He's going to come in now. His responsibility is this running back, and now that bubble screen is wide open. That was a pretty good drawn-up play. We'll watch that from the beginning. Another bubble screen just to kind of get Trevor a little more comfortable, right? Because he was throwing behind some guys, he was throwing under throwing, and so let's just make it easy for him, right? Throw some bubble screens. Looks like man, but Marvin wasn't really able to hold his guy. Now, DJ Chark is a much better blocker on the outside. So maybe DJ Chark should have been the one to kind of be right next to Laviska to be that main blocker. But in this instance, it was Marvin Jones, and unfortunately, he couldn't hold his guy. I would rather Laviska run those underneath routes, though, if I'm just being honest, and throw my 2 cents in there. So right after that, 3-yarder, they go back to running the ball. This is only the second run. And it's successful. So I'm surprised they didn't run the ball a little bit more. They actually do later in this drive. And that's probably why, because it's started to be successful a little bit, right? Here's another motion to identify the defense. I'm surprised Cam Robinson did not get a block in the back there. He ran over this guy. And the play goes nowhere. All right, so let's kind of zoom in a little bit here. Does not look like there was a motion on this play. And this is a similar play that's run when the interception happens in the second quarter. So this corner drops back. This running back comes out to the flat. I believe that's a running back. And these three guys are surrounding this receiver here. On this instance, DJ Chark just simply turns around. Right, and I don't mean to jump forward, but I want to cover this interception, and it was so similar to this play, and there was no motion. But Lawrence knew where the defense was and where his guy was going to be. Now let's take a look at the interception that happened. There was no motion once again, but look how similar this play looks from the play in the first quarter. But instead of DJ Chark just stopping and curling in, he actually goes to the outside and goes right to this corner that gets to sit and drop back and wait. Now, when we go back and we look at this play, let's get back. Right off of the jump, we see that it looks like it's man-to-man. But there's no motion. So maybe Trevor does not realize that they are actually in zone. So at the snap, he looks to his left. It looks like the corner is sticking with him. He looks to his right, looks back, makes the throw. He did not stick with him. He went back into the zone and sat there. That's where you get that interception. And it's just, it's a matter of that motion really helping this young quarterback identify the offense, know what he's seeing. Sometimes your eyes plays tricks on you, right? So it's always good just to get that motion, that pre-snap motion, so you are 100% made aware of what that defense is in. That's really important. Now let's go back to that first drive. Because we're going to see why that motion helps him in the game, or in this touchdown drive. Right, so there's two over the top, and that's because the running back is in the backfield. Right, now we notice that. Now the tight end is in the backfield, and that safety stepped up. And this is going to be important. That was way too high. This is going to be important on this throw now. So, empty backfield, and the safety still steps up. That is because there's a tight end on the field, and they need to cover all three of these guys. But empty backfield, one safety over the top when there's the tight end in the game. Empty backfield, Here is that safety coming down. It was a little late, but he came down. So Urban Meyer is understanding this. Okay, when it's empty backfield, that safety is coming down. Now we have 12 personnel on one side, and the motion now uncovers that it's zone defense, right? Because if we go back to the beginning of the play, we see this original shift. This guy does not run all the way across the field with him. If he runs all the way across the field, that you know that it's man-to-man. Because he stops, and then this guy picks him up, they shift in the zone. He's underneath. He's over the top. The running back is here, so this safety is here. If there was a wide receiver over here, he would move over. Okay, but there is none. The tight ends are on this side. So it's a run play. But Urban knows that when it's empty, that safety steps up. So, empty. Now what happens? The safety steps up, and there's only one safety over the top. And why do we know that it's motion? Because the running back motioned out to the outside, and I mean, besides the fact that the corner is facing in, that tells you that's motion right there. Besides that, when Robinson motioned out, a guy, and like any of those guys just picked him up. It wasn't guy from start to finish that followed him out there, you know? So on this defense, you'll see he comes out, and once again, they're on zone on the strong side, and you have the tight end that exploited that. And what is so cool about this play is, up to this point, O'Shaughnessy was... Hold on, let me stop that. O'Shaughnessy was the only guy that was going out and catching passes. So this linebacker is keeping his eye on the outside tight end, O'Shaughnessy. And because Manhertz was only blocking, he figured, oh, there's a guy over the top. There's a guy on the outside. He'll be covered. Well, they were not expecting Manhertz to pop out for the first time and basically uncover the only portion of the field that was not covered. And that is all because the Jaguars motioned out that running back to identify and uncover that zone defense. He knew it right away. So it's really important to give Trevor Lawrence that motion. And you see, he's eyeing it up the whole time. He can see, oh man, this is zone. I'm just, he kind of threw to, or he was kind of looking to his left to hold that underneath corner on the left side. He's like, I'm going to hold him here a little bit. Let's look to the right. So these linebackers don't even notice Manhertz running up that seam. Boom. It was perfect. Manhertz is a guy who is a little underrated as a receiver, but man, he is a really good blocker. I just want to give Manhertz a little bit of love here. Here he is blocking this guy rushed in. Perfect form. Gives Trevor all the time of day to hit DJ Chark with this touchdown. Now watch him here. He kind of gets pushed off his block a little bit, but he's able to keep the guy in front of him. Manhertz is really an underrated blocker. And he did pretty good last week. So that's just about everything I have for you guys. I really just wanted to touch on how important the pre-snap motion is to the rookie Trevor Lawrence's game, and how it's really going to be important moving forward within Trevor Lawrence's progression, because he can read a defense pretty well for a rookie quarterback. And if they can give him everything he needs to succeed, I believe that he will. So it's just going to take a little bit of time, but he definitely has the skill set. He has the throwing power. He has the pocket movement, and expect him to use his feet a little bit more this upcoming week against the Denver Broncos. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know down below what you guys want to see me break down on anything you want to see in the future. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at Laurie Fitzpatrick.